And then over the weekend, autopsy reports showed that Hollywood star Gene Hackman's wife, Betsy, passed away 1 week before the Oscar winner, tragically leaving him unable to look after himself and eventually leading to his death.
A close friend has now revealed that Gene, who suffered from Alzheimer's, could not call for help, even if he'd have wanted to, as he didn't own a mobile phone.
So, if you're increasingly worried about a vulnerable loved one who is living alone, Dr. Semiya is here with some advice and gadgets to perhaps put your mind at ease. Good morning, Dr. Semiya. It's a truly tragic scenario that we've come to understand, that Gene Hackman's wife passed away a week before him, so he couldn't do anything about it.
It really is a sad story. However, it's strange because it's not an isolated incident. The Office of National Statistics showed that in 2023, 9,000 individuals were found deceased 1 week after they passed.
Goodness me.
So it's not an isolated case. So we have to be mindful that this does happen, especially we've got an ageing population and people are living alone. They want their independence, and this is bound to happen. But it emphasises the point that we've got to show these small acts of kindness. We've got to check in with a neighbour or relative on a regular basis. We can't just leave them alone.
No, absolutely not. And there's also lots of devices that can actually help with the situation as well. So you almost kind of set up a safety net. I'm guessing.
I mean, individuals want to be independent. It's really important for their self-confidence, for their self-care. So for those who are able to, those who have no mobility issues or who do not have memory issues, they need to be independent. Now, there are numerous gadgets which are important for older people, and that can keep them safe and independent. We've got several of these. We've got personal devices like personal alarms. There are lots of companies, Telecare, which offers a personal device whereby you wear a pendant, you press a button, you can speak to someone if you need medical attention. There are also fall detectors, which are important, and they can detect if you've had a fall. Once again, you wear a pendant. They work on approximately the same type of theory. We also have GPS trackers for people who have dementia. Now, they can locate you around a certain perimeter, so you can, if an individual who has memory issues goes beyond that, your carer or relative will be able to detect that. So there are so many devices out there. They've also got surveillance cameras such as this, which are very, very cheap. Many of these...
Kind of like a baby monitor almost, a little bit, so that you can check in all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there is a slight cost to all of these, but it's worth it in the long term. And we've got to remember, many individuals are unaware that there are so many facilities out there. You can get a lot of help through local councils as well. You may get funding through local councils. So if you feel a relative needs any of these gadgets that can be helpful to them, contact your local council. This is a key safe, which is really important for elderly, for carers or relatives. You put a PIN code, put them in the front of your door or on the back. You put a PIN code and get access to the keys.
By the way, they are brilliant for
teenage
boys who forget their keys regularly. If there's somewhere, if you stash one somewhere in the garden or somewhere...
I'd love one of those.
Everybody knows that there is a spare key, but it is locked in a carefully sort of secured safe as well. That's key as well.
That's important. Some elderly people are very IT savvy. So we've got to remember there's loads of apps as well out there. They've got medication apps, MediSafe, which gives reminders for when to take your medication.
Right, okay.
So these are really, really important. I think that reminds you when to take your medications. There are so many. They've got smartwatches, the Apple Watch, which can detect falls. That's a big investment, but nevertheless, it can be really important. We've got to remember they've got voice-activated gadgets like Alexa, Google. So if you sort of, they remind you to dim lights, take your medication, call people. There are so many facilities out there, and it just means that people have to research it a little bit.
There is an element, though, isn't there, as you started, Semiya, about the independence of our elderly relations, and they don't want to feel like they're being spied on or looked after. At what point do you think we need to start sort of considering some of these gadgets to help them?
It's really important. They can be intrusive.
Yes.
So you have to break it very gently. They are independent. I get so many patients coming in who are alone and that they need help. So you have to break it slowly. You have to sort of advise them that would help them maintain their independence over the long term. And I think that's what we all want, to be living independently, healthily. We have to have a good quality of life.
And could these potentially save somebody's life?
Absolutely.
In what way? How could it help?
So if you are in distress, you press one of these buttons, it will locate you to a central system, which will either locate a relative or signpost you to the right direction, possibly calling for an ambulance. So it can help. If you've had a fall, there's no way you can get up, especially if you're living alone. So once again, these fall detectors will identify that and signpost you to the emergency services. It can save so many lives, and I presume with a case of someone like Gene Hackman, if he had potentially had a fall, he had one of these gadgets available, it could have potentially helped him in some way.
And some of them aren't expensive either. Some are just £45.
This camera is £45. As I say, it needs a conversation with the actual person because they are intrusive.
Of course.
The pendants can range anywhere from about £120 annually, as can the fall detectors.
But you can get support if you need as well, which
you
would be great.
can. So it's really important to contact your local council because you can get funding.
Yeah, so start the conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.